welcome to another GoldenGoal podcast. In our last video, we discussed who we thought would be champions, which were Chelsea.
Chelsea, indeed.
And now we're going for second place.
Second place.
So second place was a bit of a toss-up between the two Manchester clubs. I think I got it a bit my own way that way, and we
You did.
in our second place is Manchester United.
Indeed.
So we're going to pretty much follow the same structure as last time, where we're going to talk about the strengths, the weaknesses of the team, why we put the club where we put it, talk a bit about the manager, and talk about a few of the players we think are going to be interesting to watch.
Oh, you're leading this video. You're ready.
I know. My chance to shine, because this is obviously the club I support, so I've got a lot to say.
Okay, fair enough. Tell me, what do you think?
I think this is the most excited I've been this season since Sir Alex Ferguson retired.
Really?
I think Manchester United have been so efficient in the transfer window. I'm not saying they haven't overpaid for certain players, and we'll go on to that next, but I mean, they bought the Serie A, League One and Bundesliga players of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, they've strengthened every department, their defence, the midfield and their attack. They kind of whittled out their weaknesses, which were last season were not scoring enough goals. They bought Ibrahimovic, not having a massive attacking outlet. You know, they didn't have that one attacking player creating chances, getting assists. They bought Mkhitaryan, who assisted 14 times in the Bundesliga. They're a bit weak in the defence. I mean, they're playing Daley Blind in centre back. They signed this new youngster, Eric Bailey, who you think's a phenomenal talent.
I'll get on to him.
And has won man of the match in his first two matches in the Community Shield and in the victory against Bournemouth. They've just got that arrogance back about them, and I know that a lot of people hate that arrogance about United, but I think Mourinho has brought back that fear factor, which United have been missing for the last 3 seasons. I mean, you'd go to Old Trafford thinking, "Oh, let's play for a draw." Last 3 seasons, it's been like we can actually get something.
We can win this game.
I mean, we lost away. We lost home matches to Norwich and Bournemouth last season, for goodness sake. 2 of the promoted teams. You're now thinking with Jose Mourinho and his home records, it brings back that kind of like that defensive, that castle-like feeling about Old Trafford again.
I think that you're probably right there. I think that especially for Manchester United, part of your philosophy is that you need Old Trafford as your fortress, because that's what you had. Like, Old Trafford was like, when you had a home game against anyone, you were like, we can do this.
I mean, it used to be like intimidating for players to go to when you'd see the likes of Roy Keane standing there leading his team out on the lines, with the likes of Peter Schmeichel, the Great Dane, and you had the likes of Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes in defence, Jaap Stam, the Vidiches. I mean, it was a scary team. It was an imposing team. The last 3 seasons, you've been having blooming Fellaini, like
Phil Jones,
and I just think there's that arrogance back. There's that we are, like United, they just love being hated. Manchester United fans love being hated, and I think other opposition fans are starting to fear them again, which is good, and it does make it really exciting. And rightly or wrongly, I'm going to put this out there, I don't necessarily like the way that Manchester United has spent money in recent years. I mean, it goes completely against their philosophy.
Yeah.
I mean, beforehand, the amount of youth products, and we're still bringing out youth products to be fair, but Manchester United had held out for so long, trying to refrain from signing these big player names. When City was signing the likes of Aguero and Chelsea was signing the likes of Shevchenko, Manchester United would try and refrain from that, try and bring up the youth. But I just think they gave up for a bit. It didn't work. They did sign some ridiculous signings like Di Maria and Falcao, but now I just think they've started to play catch up, and I think they've started to catch up with the big boys again.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll have a repeat of next season where we finish 5th, hence why I put them 2nd.
Yeah.
And also they've got a good balance as well between youth and experience.
Yes.
I mean, of all the signings, I'm least impressed with Ibrahimovic. I think you are as well, because
I'm not impressed
I think
at all.
he could have that Cantona kind of feel to him, but also it could kind of stagnate the development of Rashford, development of Will Keane coming through the ranks. But it's almost as if they now have got those arrogant bastards back.
Yeah.
Like Ibra, like Mourinho. No, they're not exactly likeable to the opposition. I mean, Mourinho's done a few disagreeable things in the past year, and we all know what Ibra's like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think hopefully there has that illusion of everyone's against us, back against the Wolves. Man United are back.
You'd think so. You'd hope so anyway. I mean, I've been less impressed with them since we made this table, really. I think that because I feel like the hype was at a reasonable level when we made this table, but since then, since Pogba, and I think especially since the Community Shield win as well, I think that it's just a bit too much. I think you're gonna crack under the pressure.
I think I used the metaphor as a ticking time bomb earlier on.
You did.
And that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that it almost seems too good to be true. I mean, they've just signed Pogba back. They've signed all these great players. And they've got Mourinho, and they're starting to win games again. But you know that it's just with Mourinho's teams is very much on the edge. It's when you're winning. But the moment the chips are down, the moment something, I can imagine us, going and winning our first 3 Premier League games comfortably. We've beaten Bournemouth comfortably. I can imagine us beating Southampton, and then we go away to Hull, getting the first 3 points, and the media falling in love. Ibra scoring a 2.
This is what I mean.
Stunners. It all been on the back pages. Then we play City and get absolutely hammered, and it could just go absolutely catastrophically wrong.
Yeah.
And then these big egos turn against each other.
Yeah.
Like Wayne Rooney turning on Ibra,
Ibra turning on Mourinho,
and the young players. It could go all pear shaped. It's going to go one or two ways, in my opinion. It's either going to be like a match made in heaven or a match made in hell. That's what you get with Mourinho. That's what you get with living on the edge. But it's always been that way at Manchester United. They've always had big egos. They've always had big players. They always live by the sword.
Yeah.
Live by the sword, die by the sword. And I'm not trying to romanticize it, but it does worry me as a United fan. But I do think that they're going in the positive direction. And like I said earlier, they're getting the young players through. You look at that team. It has got such a good balance, a bit like Chelsea, between youth and experience. And I think last season they missed that experience, which Ibra does now bring. Because last season you only really had Carrick and Rooney. Because remember, you think about it, in recent years you've had Scholes retire, Ryan Giggs retire, Rio Ferdinand.
Well, Ryan Giggs isn't even part of the backroom staff anymore. So
you have lost that experience. But I think with Ibra, it brings that experience. And with Mourinho, I mean, Mourinho is the most experienced manager at winning things in the Premier League. He's won the most Premier Leagues than any other manager currently going, and he knows that system, and that's why I put Manchester United above Manchester City, because Mourinho has a proven track record in the Barclays Premier League. With Guardiola, yes, he's a winner, yes, he's arguably been the most successful manager over the past 10 years, but the Premier League is just a whole new different ball game. The Premier League is the most difficult league to win. There is no doubt about that.
For sure.
I mean, in Spain you have 2-3 teams. It's mainly Barca or Madrid, with Atletico every now and then. And in Italy it's pretty much Juve. In France it's pretty much Paris Saint-Germain. In Germany it's between Dortmund and Munich. In England, 1 of 7 teams could win. You've got Leicester, defending champions, both Manchester clubs. Liverpool, so bloody unpredictable, anything could happen. Arsenal, they're always there.
Arsenal are like the jigsaw that's missing 2 pieces constantly.
Tottenham, I mean, they came close. They're hurt. They're going to come back wanting it more. I mean, that's what Guardiola. That's why I think City could struggle. Whereas Manchester United, Mourinho has won. He won the league in 2005, won the league in 2006, 2010, and 2015.
And he won it 2014, 15. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean.
Wait, no.
Yeah, he's won 7 major trophies in 8 years. Yeah, 2015 he won it in. Because it was the season before last. It wasn't last season.
Yeah. Season 14, 15.
And I think with what also runs true, and it could be a strength or could be a weakness, is the fact that both club and manager are hurt. Their egos are severely bruised.
Yeah.
I mean, Mourinho, before he left he got sacked by Chelsea, where they actually were at 16th at one point. I think
Yeah.
it was the lowest. He left them in 16th position. I mean, before that, Mourinho never finished outside the top three
No.
ever. Manchester United, before Sir Alex Ferguson left, the whole Premier League campaign, that was I think like 21, 22 years Premier League was, and he never finished out the top three. Now Manchester United in the past 3 seasons have finished 5th, 7th and 3rd and 4th even. I mean, both club, both manager have a lot to prove, but will the challenge be too much? Is the pressure and the stakes too high, like you said?
Yeah.
And I think their biggest weakness.
I mean, it's also scary because, like, the expectation now is that they're going to do it. And doesn't that seem eerily similar to what he had with Chelsea last season?
Yeah, it's that pressure. And I think Mourinho always quite likes, as much as he doesn't like to say it, I think he quite likes the kind of like the whole underdog thing.
Oh, yeah,
like when
definitely.
Porto was an underdog story when they won the Champions League in 2004. When he came in at Chelsea, I mean, Chelsea hadn't won the league in 50 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Real Madrid were...
I mean, Real Madrid weren't exactly like a complete underdog, but they were to Barca.
Yeah, at that time he came in
It
when
was
Barca were
his
probably
first,
the best team in years.
his first fucking game playing for Real Madrid. They got fucking battered 5-0 by
Yeah.
Barca.
And when he went to Inter Milan...
Inter Milan were in absolute disarray.
They were, weren't they, as well? But then I guess... I don't know. I think he's really wanted this job. He's really caught with this job. I mean, there was rumours that he wrote a bloody love letter to Manchester United with
Yeah.
points. He's always wanted that job at United.
Yeah.
Without sounding arrogant at all. I mean, when we lost to Real Madrid in the Champions League quarterfinals a few years back, Mourinho was like, oh, well, the best team lost. He always had a really good relationship with Sir Alex Ferguson. Of all the managers, you know, like Mourinho has this tendency to slag off other managers, which I don't like about him. He's never once said a bad word about Sir Alex Ferguson.
No.
He never said a bad word about Manchester United. He looked absolutely delighted to sign. I mean, he started up a whole blooming Instagram account with like his Manchester United pencil case, his Manchester United suitcase.
Yeah.
He's really excited for the challenge. He seems to be really in his element. But in my opinion, this is going to be, like Guardiola, this is going to be the most challenging job he's ever had. I think with Porto, like we said earlier, he had like literally nothing to... He was the underdog. With Chelsea, I mean, he had all that money pumped in at him and no one expected them to win when they did. But with Manchester United, it's just completely different. The expectations are so high. This is probably the biggest club with Real Madrid he's ever managed.
Yeah.
And the competition,
Probably.
as we said, is just so fierce.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, Jose Mourinho is another weakness to Manchester United. Louis van Gaal got absolutely crucified for playing against the Manchester United way. Manchester United fans expect fast attacking football with wingers.
Yeah.
They always have. I mean, Manchester United would rather lose trying to win than win playing ugly.
Yeah.
And Mourinho has a tendency of winning whilst playing ugly.
Yeah.
And the Manchester United fans...
Yeah, but like, what kind of fans is that gonna slag off? Is gonna annoy though? What kind of fans is that gonna piss off? Because you'll have the, as you call them, the fake Manchester United fans who just want to support who's winning.
Yeah, instant gratification.
Yeah, complete instant gratification rather than playing your way but then losing.
I just think Manchester United fans have had 3 years of a wake-up call. I mean, we as fans were so complacent for so many years. I mean, you expect us to finish top 2 every season. You'd think it would be impossible that Man United would ever finish outside the top 4, wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, well, I didn't. I didn't.
Maybe not you, but you have to admit that there was that kind of like...
Oh, that was the
complacency.
feeling about it. Yeah, I remember when David Moyes came in afterwards, and I said to you, I really wish that like we had started this years ago, so that I could actually record myself going, "This is all gonna go downhill from here." There's gonna be, and you said, I remember, and you're right though. There was that complacency because you said to me, "No, it won't."
Yeah, I did think Man United fans did think they were untouchable. As a club, they were untouchable. I mean, they were probably the most consistent team in club football under Sir Alex Ferguson. Can you really think of a team that was more consistent than Manchester United? Because even Real
Not in the
Madrid
Premier
dipped.
League. Not in the Premier League.
There was no team more consistent than Manchester United. They were domestically incredible, and we did get complacent. And I think now it's been a bit of a wake-up call. It is a lot more difficult to win the Premier League now, especially as the smaller clubs have a lot of money. Look at the amount of money, City and Tottenham are spending. Even Crystal Palace are spending 30 odd million on players. And it's a lot more difficult. And I think Man United fans, although we want that attacking football, although we want that Sirks Ferguson, Busby kind of way of playing, I do think nowadays it's like we just want to be winning again.
Yeah.
And we want to play to win. And Mourinho is a winner.
True.
I mean, the arrogance of both Mourinho and Manchester United is a good relationship, a bit like Conte with Chelsea and his defensive-minded kind of way of playing. Manchester United is, if Manchester United were a club right now, they would probably be that Mourinho, hurt, ego bruised, but gonna go out and try and win as much
basically
as they can.
Let's just get on to their main strengths. What do you think are Manchester United's actual main strengths this season?
I think their main strengths are going to be their attack, definitely.
The attacking side of things.
I think you've got so much squad depth in that attack. I mean, you've got the likes of Mata, Rooney, Mkhitaryan, who can all generate good assists, all get good at getting the ball forward. You got Martial and Rashford, the pace on them.
Yeah.
And then Ibra, who scored 50 goals in 51 matches. They've got goals in them now.
Yeah.
That is what they've really been lacking. And let's get on to Pogba. I mean, he's the box-to-box midfielder they've been missing since Roy Keane.
Yeah.
They've just got that spirit. They've got exciting players that are going to scare opposition. I mean, think about in around about 2010, 2011, compare the likes of Pogba, Mkhitaryan, Ibrahimovic to the team they had back then, when you'd have Anderson, Cleverley, and Darren Fletcher in midfield. No offense to Darren Fletcher, but they have just got that drive, that players that can make a difference, players that can make you sit on the edge of the seat. And Manchester United haven't had that since Ronaldo left, in my opinion. And players that can make a difference by the click of the fingers.
Yeah.
And also, I think their strengths is they've got players that want to be there. They've got young players that really want to be there. Like, you look at Jesse Lingard. They just have a good ethos around them at the moment. Jesse Lingard's a young player come through. Timothy Fosu-Mensah, Rashford, all Manchester United like youth products coming through, which I like a lot. And they're all a year older. They're all a year more experienced. They've got a taste of silverware now. I just think they've got a really good equilibrium at the moment. I think that's going to be their strengths. What about you? What do you think are our strengths?
I don't necessarily think that your goal scoring is going to be your strength. I think your strength is going to be massively your creativity.
Yeah.
In midfield. Because, I mean, I think you have pretty much 4 or 5 players in that squad that are capable of getting at least 13, 14 assists in one season. That's a lot of assists for one player. And I think that's a really... That's going to be a massive... That's going to be a huge thing for... It's going to be especially strong against teams that maybe aren't as strong defensively.
Yeah.
Because when you look lower down the table, you've got teams that maybe their defences aren't as strong. And if you have players that are just going to carry on putting in clear-cut chance after clear-cut chance after clear-cut chance, it's not only that, like, the more chances you put in, the more goals you're going to put in. You're going to affect the defenders psychologically as well, because they're going to be like, fuck me, we are under so much pressure. That's going to put them under pressure, and then you'll break through. Yeah,
and it's like that with the creativity has so much depth as well. There's always going to be a plan B. I mean, you've got the likes of Mata, Lingard, and Rooney, Mkhitaryan, who are attacking
and even Herrera's probably capable.
Herrera, yeah. And then you've got, like, if you want to play plan B and start playing ugly, you've got likes of Schneidlin and Fellaini in there.
Yeah, even Pogba can probably play that role as well.
It's quite a scary depth they've got going.
The midfield is especially.
And that's the thing they've been missing. That's the jigsaw puzzle they've been missing for years.
Yes. I also, you mentioned it earlier. I've seen Eric Bailey play. He is going to be key.
I mean, he's won the man of the match in his first 2 matches.
I know. I'm so annoyed that we haven't recorded this before, because I wrote this down before those 2 games, and I really wish that we had recorded this earlier.
He's a bit like a rough diamond. Like the way he plays, he's so bullish, athletic.
Didn't I say this to you? He's like ages ago. Please, can you confirm that?
I can confirm.
I did say this.
Reece, I don't know the exact date. Sometime in July was like, this is probably of the four signings we think you're going to make. This was before Pogba.
Yeah.
You like the look of Eric the most.
Eric Bailey is like a younger, more inexperienced version, in my opinion, of Vidic. He's just gonna get. I said to you before. He's like when we were talking about players at the Euros. He's like a bit like Gareth McCauley in the sense that if a corner comes in, he's gonna jump in there and attack the ball and get it out.
And it's quite scary that he's only 22 as well.
That's what. Yeah, he's only 22. I was so impressed with him. in La Liga. He was fantastic.
And he linked up really well. He settled in really well. I mean, he was playing alongside Daley Blind, who's not even a natural centre-back. And he played very well against Bournemouth. I mean, getting man of the match in your first Premier League match is quite an amazing feat as well. So let's hope, long may that continue. I'm not saying there's not going to be any mistakes in him, because he's young. I mean, a young centre-back is going to make mistakes. But
yeah,
we like, at Manchester United, we really like players that wear their hearts on their sleeves and players that are willing to take risk. And he's an exciting centre-back to watch. You don't say that about many centre-backs.
No, true.
Another one as well is, to keep him with defences, Valencia's been bloody reformed under Mourinho.
Really?
Valencia's been bombing forwards, putting crosses in. I mean, Valencia, when he first joined Manchester United, was absolutely fantastic. I think he won our Player of the Season in about 2010, 2011. Absolutely incredible when he was on the wing. And under both Moyes and Louis van Gaal, he fell out of favour a bit. It was a bit inconsistent. Was a bit scared of going forward. Completely lost his confidence. But in pre-season, he's just been playing really good football. And I was worried about that right back position, because Darmian didn't really make it his own in the first season, and I think he will be given opportunities next season. And we're quite weak back in that predicament. So now to see Valencia again, he looked. I mean, he actually. There's actually a picture of him getting the captain's armband. He had a massive smile on his face when he played in the Charity Shield. I just think the club means a lot to him, and it'd be nice to see Valencia back, because he was a terrific player back in his day.
Yeah.
Back 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's good that Mourinho's getting the best out of his players.
That's good.
Should we move on to weaknesses then?
Yeah, just one more thing, defensively wise, because I think you're quite strong defensively. On Eric Bailey, one other thing that's going to really help his development and the development of helping your defensive unit come together, I think David De Gea is going to be a massive, massive impact on that, because he's got the experience now to really organise his defence properly.
Yeah.
And that's huge. That's huge for a defence, is having a goalkeeper there organising and communicating with his defence. And that's really, I personally think, where young defenders get a bit frightened and a bit nervous, is when their goalkeeper isn't like ordering them, telling them what they want them to do. Because then if they then make a mistake, they then blame it on themselves, because they're like shit, well, I didn't know what I was doing.
That's really interesting, because you do see De Gea now commanding his defence.
He didn't at first. When he first joined, he was so quiet. Yeah. He was so quiet. So I think that's going to be... That for me is why I think... I'm not sure if your goal scoring is going to be your strength, but your creativity and your defensive unit, I think, are going to be really strong. In
my opinion, and we'll move on to weaknesses, is the fact we don't have that experienced centre-back. I feel like if we did have more of an experienced centre-back, I think Eric Bailey could learn from that. Like, there's talks that we might be signing
Jose Fonte
from Southampton. Was it Southampton?
Yeah, Southampton.
He was a bit more experienced.
He's very experienced.
A bit more older, because you think about it, Manchester United's oldest. You got Luke Shaw, who's 18, playing left back. Valencia playing right back. Yeah, he may be 30, but he hasn't always been playing
Yeah.
in defence. I mean, he's only been defender for about 3-4 years. And then you've got he's partnering Chris Smalling.
Chris Smalling's quite experienced.
He's I guess, but he's the most experienced of a back four. Normally in the back four you do have like 30, 31, 32-year-old. Look at City, they've got company. Chelsea, they had
Terry. Jamie Kalis for a while as well.
And I think we do miss that experienced defender.
Right.
I mean, I think that showed last season. We had the likes. We are playing. I mean, Daley Blind isn't a natural centre back. He normally plays left back or midfield, but he's having to drop back in centre back, and he's made it his own. Admittedly, he has made it his own position, but I think if he had more of an experienced centre back partnered alongside of him at moments, I think he could really learn a lot. So if Man United were to sign Fonte, I mean, he wouldn't play every single game. It would be quite nice to see Eric Bailey learning from him.
That'd be cool.
Any other weaknesses?
I mean, you were saying about wide areas. I mean, I personally don't think winger wise or fullback wise. I mean, I didn't know that Antonio Valencia was playing incredibly during pre-season.
Yeah.
But I think that you're a bit too stacked centrally.
Well, we have got a lot more central midfielders when you think of like Schneiderlin, Pogba.
Schneiderlin, Pogba, Herrera, Mkhitaryan isn't a winger.
Blind will play.
Blind.
We're lacking speed down that wings, definitely.
Well, I think you're just lacking wingers in general, really. I mean, even Jesse Lingard, like, he can play on the wing, but he's more of a attacking midfielder.
And we want Martial playing up front. I don't want him stuck on the wing constantly.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want Martial playing on the wing, being wasted on the wing like he was with Van Gaal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there I've just counted that 7 players that play either centre midfield or attacking midfield, which are quite similar positions, really. So, I don't know. I think wider. I think especially I feel so shit about Darmian. I really thought Darmian was going to be.
Same. He was the signing last season I was most excited about.
I thought he was really going to step up to the plate.
But I think he'll be given. I mean, he only had one poor season.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even that bad, but like he had one season where he wasn't playing as well as he would have liked to. So I'm sure Mourinho will give him a lot of opportunities. I hope so anyway, because we're going to have to alternate. You can't have one right. I don't think Valencia were playing right back for the whole of the season.
Yeah.
So should we talk about? Actually, my final.
More weaknesses.
You got more weaknesses.
More weaknesses. I have Zlatan. I honestly think that Zlatan at one point during this season is going to throw an absolute fanny fit, and your fans are not going to be happy with him, and he's going to get like a lot of shit for it.
See, that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that the presence of Zlatan, as much as it could be like this kind of like people have been talking, and I do agree with it having this like Cantona effect where it's like players are going to be in awe of him. He's going to generate a fear factor in the opposition. It could also have a detrimental effect on a lot of the youngsters because he's not exactly one at disguising his emotions when he's not happy with something. I mean,
look at him at the Euros when he had to go off the pitch and he just fucking threw a little tantrum as he came off the pitch. Like that's poor. And that, do you know what? That is, I think, more forgiven in international football than it is in club football. Because I mean, look at the whole Tevez situation at Man City. He was hated for months, and it took real balls of Mancini to then play him again, didn't it?
Yeah, that's what you don't want. You don't want that, especially from like a player that's 34 years old as well.
Exactly, he's meant to be kind of like a bit of a leader in that team.
I'm sure he will lead, but. Yeah, like you said, it could also be a burden as much as it could be an asset.
Yeah.
My problem, another weakness as well with a big name player, a bit like Ibrahimovic, is Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
It's like he's probably our third best centre attacking midfielder and our third best striker. He should not be starting.
No.
He should not be starting. Who would you rather start in centre attacking midfield? Mata, Mkhitaryan or Rooney?
Well, definitely not Rooney.
Definitely not Rooney. And who would you rather play up front? Ibra, Rashford, Martial, or Rooney?
Well,
you could pick two of them.
Again,
would you pick
not Rooney. Again,
not pick Rooney. No.
No, I would definitely have Martial up front.
Martial and Ibra
or Rashford.
He'd be my fourth choice because I think it'd stagnate Rashford's development. Martial is much of a better player than him, and I think Ibra will score more goals.
Yeah.
He's one of those players, like he's a bit like the England predicament, that his name and what he's achieved can sometimes blind a manager. And we all know Mourinho is a massive fan of Rooney as well, so we all know he's going to start. But it's like he didn't play that well against Bournemouth. He was one of our weaker links against Bournemouth. He linked up well with Ibra, yes, and he did get a goal. But it's not all about how much you score. It's about how much
what you're contributing to the team.
And his bullish attitude, his speed's dipped. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to see him start every week. And I think if you're a player like Mkhitaryan or you're a striker like Martial and you're sitting on the sidelines accommodating for Rooney, who you know is a better player than you, because he's not.
Yeah.
I mean, Rooney hasn't been brilliant since 2010. Then you're going to start getting a bit resentful.
And the big problem that you have with that as well is, I think, because you have half of the Manchester United fans who, like you, who want Rooney to be dropped and to do for the good of the team, to be dropped. But then you also have that other half of Manchester United fans that think that he's untouchable and shouldn't be taken out the team no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I respect everything Rooney has done for our club, but you can't play players just because of the name on the back of their shirt.
I know. Well, that's what happened. I don't know. I have a funny feeling that if that does happen, though, I don't know whether you remember last season all the shit with Francesco Totti at Roma.
Yeah.
Because he went through the same thing. I mean, he's older than Rooney, but he went through the same thing where he was basically being phased out the team because of. I mean, he has to be. He's in his 40s. He's in his 40s.
Is he?
I think he's in his 40s now, or he's at least very nearly 40.
Yeah.
And he basically got all annoyed and came out saying, "Oh, I wish I had joined Real Madrid," and all this kind of stuff. Just like, I have a feeling that Rooney's going to have the same thing.
Yeah, because it's not like at this stage in his career, Ryan Giggs was already starting to kind of like dip out of the team.
And he kind of accepted it though, didn't he? He was just like, do you know what? Yeah, I am 40.
Yeah, like I am. I mean, Rooney's hasn't got the fitness that Ryan Giggs ever had, and Rooney did start playing at an earlier age more frequently. He just hasn't got the fitness either as well.
No.
Like, I want to see Rooney playing.
I don't know whether you saw him recently. I think he looks a little bit overweight. I don't know about you.
Yeah, he looks like he's carrying a few pounds, but that's nothing new. He always comes back from pre-season a bit chubby.
Okay.
It's just his body type. But yeah, I just think that Rooney could be more of a burden than Aston next season. Let's hope not. Let's hope he does mature. And I don't want to see him being that ticking time. I don't want to see Mourinho, of all people, being like, no, I had to play Rooney because, you know, he's approaching the goal scoring records and he's done so much for the club. Let's just stick him in there. If Rooney really respects the club and really loves the club, he's gonna know that he can't play every week.
Yeah.
And he's got to accommodate for younger players coming through, like instead of playing up front, starting Rashford and Mkhitaryan and stuff.
I have one more weakness though.
What's that?
I really do think that Mourinho could fuck up your season on his own. And the only reason why I say this is because of how he has said things in pre-season and how he was last season with Chelsea. I think he can be very petulant as a person. Because when you were signing Pogba and everyone was like, that's a stupid amount of money, which I have to say it is, and you have to say it is.
It is a ridiculous amount of money.
It's a stupid amount of money for one player.
Regardless of them making the money back through shirt sales, it's besides the point. You've still shelled out 100 million for a player.
Yeah, exactly. Close enough to 100 million.
Yeah.
And he came out saying, he didn't even come out saying, oh, this is like other teams need to respect our transfer business and just go about it as normal, which I would have been like, yeah, do you know what, that's fair enough. It's the fact that he came out and said that's unethical that you've done that, as if he's come out and said, like, because that offended me, that's unethical. That's very petulant, and it's egoic. It's like going like, how dare you do something that offends me and my team? It's like, that's wrong.
And
It's pathetic.
And the thing is, like, the Manchester United hierarchy, like Sir Bobby Charlton, hate that kind of.
Yeah.
He never was a massive fan of Mourinho because of the dramas he does create. With Sir Alex Ferguson, yes, he was an intimidating person, but whenever he played mind games, he was very strategic. He wasn't like bullish. He wasn't like fiery.
Yeah.
He was more like intimidating and posing the more subtle, laid back way.
I mean,
whereas Mourinho is very like brash.
Yeah, exactly.
And that can have a detrimental effect, and it can upset the players, like it did with Chelsea last season.
Exactly. I mean, like, it wasn't only that he said when he came out. He also said, "Oh, other clubs are just knocking on the Pogba deal because they can't afford it." That's like that. Do you know what that's like? I don't know if you remember, fucking DJ Killer Keemstar came out saying like, "Oh, you only hate on me because you don't make as much money as me." It's like, oh, just because you can't afford it, kind of thing. It's like, fuck off. Like, no, that's wrong. That's pathetic.
I think we've covered pretty much Mourinho, haven't we? Should we move on to the players?
Sorry. I remember reading those 2 interviews and I was like, nah, that's wrong. That's wrong. Yeah.
Look at the players to watch out for.
Players to watch out for. I mean, I've already said Eric Bailey.
I said Eric Bailey as well, but we covered him. I think, for me, Lingard.
Lingard could do well.
Lingard, just because he scored in his last 2 matches, he scored in 2 finals. Lingard he never really has reached the potential I think Manchester United expects him to reach until recently. He always plays with a smile on his face, and I think now he's got a taste of glory. He scored that goal, 2 goals now in Wembley. He's looking quicker, he's looking fitter, he's looking more intelligent on the ball. The passes he's making, he used to be quite selfish. He's less selfish now. He's playing a more of an attacking midfielder role instead of up front. I think Lingard could have a really good season.
I actually quite like Lingard.
Because you never used to, did you?
I never used to like him, and the reason why I like him now is because he's made the change that Ravel Morrison should have made. Where Ravel Morrison was put a lot of faith in, because he was, like, a lot of youth players said that he was the best player in that Manchester United youth team.
Pogba used to look up in awe at Ravel Morrison.
At Ravel Morrison. I mean, that team, that was a great youth team. I mean, that was Ravel Morrison, Jesse Lingard, Paul Pogba. Who else was in that youth team?
Those 3 were the main 3.
Those 3 were the main 3, but you had some other...
Was it Will Keane as well?
Will Keane was in there. Paddy McNair was in there. Oh my god. I know there's more players that I know and I can't remember them right now. But Ravel Morrison, when he started with all his attitude problems and stuff, he should have taken a look at himself and be like, right, shit, my place at this club is coming under threat. I need to change. Which is basically what happened to Jesse Lingard, because he was sent out on loan loads of times, basically saying, fucking sort yourself out. Like, go get some experience and stuff. And he's come back to Manchester United.
And his patience is...
He's put his head down and he's actually working hard.
Imagine being Ravel Morrison and looking at Pogba and Lingard playing together.
Yeah.
Because those 2 are best mates.
Yeah.
And thinking one of them is arguably, I'd say, the second best midfielder in the world. In my opinion. This is just my opinion.
And the other one just scored in 2 finals. 2 winning goals.
2 finals. And I'm here...
At fucking Lazio.
And when I was better than both of them, naturally better than both of them.
Yeah. But doesn't that go to show that hard work matters more than talent?
Yeah, definitely.
Hard work matters more than talent.
Another player I'm pretty excited about is Mkhitaryan as well.
I think, do you know what? When you first signed him, I was a bit sort of like, I don't know, because I'm not sure if...
14 assists and I think like 13 goals last season. That's pretty incredible.
The only thing that you would need to worry about with Mkhitaryan is that people know how good he is now, so he's going to get closed down a lot more. But I suppose that would be more of a problem if he was coming from Spain, where there's not as much kind of closing down and hard tackling. Whereas in the Bundesliga, you do get a bit of that because it is fairly physical.
I think the Bundesliga is probably the closest league to the Premier League.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of the players seem to do well when they come over from the Bundesliga. Easier to settle in. But no, I'm really excited to see him. He's a bit of a wizard. He's got a bit of magic. He's got a magic wand of a foot, and I just think it is exciting times for Man United. And I am realistic. I don't always talk about how amazing we are. I'm very realistic. I know last season we were absolutely awful. I just think there's a lot of optimism around the club at the moment.
Yeah.
But like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if when we're looking back at this and we're looking back at the previews and the predictions, and Man United, something catastrophically bad has happened, it all does implement. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, this is why I don't really understand why you've had all the pundits say that Manchester United are definitely going to win. Because I think summed up this review, we say that Manchester United definitely have the potential to win the league.
I'd say they have the most strengths and most reasons for winning the league than the other big clubs. But also the biggest weaknesses.
They have
other clubs.
Well, they have the biggest risk of it all just self-imploding. So it's like it's a glass cannon. That's what I would describe Manchester United as. They're a glass cannon.
Double-edged sword in a way.
Yeah, they're capable. They're definitely capable of winning the league, but at the same time, they have a lot of risky parts of their squad and play and just general things. I think that summed that up pretty well.
So in our next video, we'll be discussing who we put in third position.
Oh, should we keep it a secret?
Let's keep it a secret this time.
We'll keep it a secret. Alrighty. Thank you very much for listening. Leave a like if you think that we were, well, if we don't embarrass ourselves.
Yeah, and subscribe if you do enjoy the content.
Thank you very much.
Appreciated. Bye.